Hello students, welcome to the online learning session for business studies. This is our lecture 2 in respect to chapter 2, that is Principles of Management. In this lecture, we are going to learn about the Fayol's Principles of Management, Taylor's Principles of Scientific Management. But before we get into this, let's have a quick recap of the content that we discussed in lecture 1. In lecture 1, first thing that we learned was about the principles of management, the nature as well as the significance of principles of management. Then we understood a brief introduction about Henry Fayol. Who was Henry Fayol? What was his contribution? He gave 14 principles of management, out of which we discussed the first 5. What were the first 5? The first 5 were division of work, authority and responsibility, discipline, unity of command, and unity of direction. Isn't it? Now, let's continue with the Fayol's principle of management. That means we are continuing with principle number 6. And what can you see in front of you? The principle number 6 stands for remuneration of persons. Now, according to this principle, all the employees in the organization, they must be paid fairly or adequately to give them the maximum satisfaction. See what's written here? The overall pay and compensation should be fair to both the employees and the organization. The wages should be such that it encourages the worker to work more and more better, right? So the positive effects of this principle, if we consider, it can be that the employees get motivated and their commitment towards the work of the organization also increases, isn't it? But also understand that if in case this principle is not followed in any organization, not followed means the employees are not paid properly, then it will result into turnover of the employees. What is turnover of the employees? Turnover of the employees means the employees will leave the organization and quit their jobs. Okay? Or else if they do not go into such a severe end, they will feel demotivated and dissatisfied, right? So that was about the remuneration of the employees. Next one says subordination of individual interest to the general interest. It means that all the employees, or at least the managers who work in the organization, they should give priority. Priority to what? Priority to the organizational interest, to the general interest. Okay, rather than satisfying any individual interest. Clear? I'll explain this with an example. Suppose for working of an organization, raw materials are required. Okay, now what should a manager do? He should try to purchase the raw materials at a good price, means neither too high nor too low. The quality should also be good. At the same time, the price should also be fairly sufficient according to the quality. Isn't it? Every manager should do this or should want to do this. Now, think that a relative of the manager is a supplier of that same raw material. Okay? So, the manager over here should not try to give order to his own relative by misusing his power and fulfilling his own individual interest. What can be the individual interest of the manager over here? The manager may try that why shouldn't I give this order to my relative? He will also earn some profit. Okay, this is his individual interest. That let's give the order to my relative. What's the harm in this? Next, the general interest. General interest means interest in respect to the organization. So what is his obligation towards the organization? His obligation is that he should purchase goods at the proper price of the proper quantity or proper quality. He should not try to cheat the organization by giving intentionally orders to someone, and that someone will generally charge a higher price for that raw materials. You are understanding? So over here, before buying the raw materials, the manager must compare the prices and the quality of all the suppliers, okay, and choose the best one which is for his organization. He should fulfill the general interest, the common interest, that is doing good for the organization, rather than fulfilling his own individual interest, that is giving order to his own relative, maybe at a higher price, and misusing his power. Understood this? This is the principle of subordination of individual interest to general interest. The next one says centralization and decentralization. Now what is centralization and decentralization? See, centralization is actually putting powers or having power only with the top level managers. Okay, the power is centralized, the power is with the main people only. Clear? And what does decentralization means? Decentralization means that the power is distributed to every level of management. Clear? Now understand one thing, an organization should not be completely centralized, neither it should be completely decentralized. Meaning is that both centralization as well as decentralization should be balanced. Okay, you cannot have a pure centralized organization like all the powers is with the top level management only. No, it will be difficult for that organization to work. As well as you cannot have all the powers distributed to all the levels of management. In that case, what will happen? You are following decentralization, but in that way there will be misuse of power. So there should be a balance, a proper balance between the centralization and decentralization, right? The next one says scalar chain. What is a scalar chain? Before I try to explain you what is a scalar chain, first have a look onto the picture that I have provided here. See, what is this? It is looking like a triangle. Yes. Now understand, what is this D, C, B, A, E, F and G? What are these? These are actually the different positions or the different employees in an organization. Understood? Suppose, understand, if D wants to pass some information to F, how will it be passed? In a chain way. Chain way what means? D will pass the information to C, C will pass to B, B will pass to A passes on to E, and then the final information reaches to B. Clear? This is what is called as the scalar chain. This chain must be followed strictly in this organization, in every organization, and every information must pass through this chain, and there should be no skipping of positions. Means you cannot do D passes on to C, but C did not pass on to B, it directly passes on to A. That way it should not be done. Okay, why did he say so? Fayol wanted this to be followed so that there is a systematic flow of information. Okay, there is no communication gap. Communication gap as in whatever information is being passed, all the people are aware of it, right? Now one more clause is attached to this principle. The clause is the clause of Gangplank. What is Gangplank? Gangplank is actually used in case of certain emergencies, in case of certain situations where there is very urgency of passing information. Now what is this Gangplank for? Suppose D wants to pass an information to G. Okay, logically what should be the procedure? The procedure should be over here, then this, isn't it? And then it reaches on to G. But suppose if there is a very urgent situation and this so much time we cannot afford to pass the information. So what did Mr. Fayol said? Fayol said that in cases of emergency there can be direct passing of the information. What is this direct passing? From D to G. This is called as the shortcut in the chain, known as Gang-Planck. Okay, so if the question comes, what is the shortcut given in the scalar chain, you will write down it is the Gang-Planck. Gang-Planck allows direct communication between the employees of different position without following the scalar chain. So the scalar chain will not be followed and there will be direct communication. Clear? Very simple. Scalar chain is very simple. See what is written. The formal lines of authority between the superiors and the subordinates from the highest to the lowest rank is known as the scalar chain. Okay? Lines of authority. This chain should not be violated, but in case of emergency, there can be a contact through Gang-Planck. Just note down one thing. In emergency, employees at the same level. That means B can pass on to B, C can pass on to C, and D can pass on to D. Okay? Any kind of information which is at the same level of people of two different departments, they can contact directly. Through what? Through Gang-Planck. Clear? Okay. Now, the next one says principle of order. Now, what is this principle of order? This principle of order says that all the things as in the raw materials and those things should be there at a fixed place, so that no time and energy is wasted in search of any material or any person. Don't think order over here means order, or what do you say, that is command. No, this order is not command. Order means order of keeping certain things. There should be a proper place. There should be a proper place for keeping all the raw materials. See, it's written a place for everything and everyone. That means there should be a place for every raw materials and a place for every laborers. Right? Also, everything and everyone, that means the same laborers and the same raw materials should be at the designated place. So we have to make one place for it, and always those same things or same raw materials should be kept at their designated place only. Take an example and understand. Suppose a worker is in need of a tool, okay? And there is a proper place. Suppose a box or a shelf has been made where he is supposed to keep his tools after the work is done, right? So you understand now that as there is a proper place for this, for that tool, the laborer will not have to waste time every time finding that particular tool. He knows what is the designated place. He will go, he will find that thing, he will use it, he will come, he will keep it back. Understood? So any kind of people, any kind of material must be there at the suitable places at appropriate time for maximum efficiency. That means there is no time wasted in looking for those materials or looking for those people. People in the sense that can be applied to the laborers also, isn't it? Suppose there is a waiting room given, that once you complete your work or once you complete your shift, you will be coming and sitting in room number 1A. Okay, so 10 workers are already waiting there. Now suppose the system may be that they come in that room, they see that who is vacant, they choose 2 people, give them some work, and then they go away. Okay, but if the laborers who have completed their shift and they don't come in their allotted room, then what will happen? In case the next time any work has to be allotted, the manager will keep on finding the laborers who is free, where he is roaming, isn't it? So the laborers as well as the materials, it has to be kept at their proper place. Why? So that there is no wastage of time and there is maintenance of efficiency in the organization. Okay? In short, you can say that if this principle is not followed, then there will be wastage of time and energy. At the same time, maybe the manager will not be able to find the right tool for the work, as well as he will not be able to contact the right people at the right time. Done? Okay. Now comes about equity. Equity means equality isn't it? So the principle of equity over here refers to same type of treatment, fair type of treatment and kind treatment to all the employees, irrespective of their religion, irrespective of their language, irrespective of their caste and irrespective of their gender. It is not that a woman employee is working in an organization and male employees are also working. So male employees are given a higher salary and women, as because she is a woman, that means we are playing the gender discrimination here. So because of that gender discrimination, she is offered a lower salary. No, the principle of equity says that no, there should be same treatment to all the employees. Now this can be the negative sense also, that is, if punishment has to be given, if rules are to be applied, if penalties are to be applied, then also it should be applied in the same way, irrespective of the position, irrespective of the people who they are, right? That is principle of equity. See, the working environment should be free from all forms of discrimination, and this principle of justice and fair play should be followed. No worker should be unduly favored or punished. That means no giving extra advantages and no giving of extra disadvantages. Whatever it is, it has to be that. Equality for all. It's not that an employee is a relative of some particular boss, then he has to be given a favor. No. And at the same time, another person is unnecessarily being punished or unnecessarily being bullied. That should also not be done. Clear? Very simple this was. Next comes as stability of personnel. Now what is stability of personnel? It means that personnel means what? The persons or the employees who work in the organization, right? They should be provided stability, which means that the employees in the organization, they should feel secure about their jobs, right? They should not have frequent transfers or frequent turnovers. Clear? Understood? I repeat, according to this principle, there should be no frequent termination or frequent transfers of the organizational people. Okay? Now why there should not be? Because, understand, when a new employee comes into the organization, lots of training he takes. In that training, the organization has to incur some cost. Okay? So if I will frequently transfer people from one department to another department, he will take time to learn the work of each department every time. So that will be a wastage of resources. I put an employee in a sales department. Okay, 1 month he has taken to understand the work and everything. By the time he adjusts himself to that, I transfer him to the marketing department. Then again, marketing department is new for him. What will happen? He will take time to adjust himself. 1 month, 1.5 month, he is adjusted. Again, within 3-4 months, I shift him to another department. So this way, if I keep on transferring and terminating my employees, firstly, my resources will be wasted. Secondly, there will be dissatisfaction among the employees. The employees will not feel to work, or they will not feel to learn anything new, because they will know na, arey, why to learn? Again in 3-4 months I will be shifted to some another department. So why should I put my efficiency into learning something new? Let it be, let me spend 3-4 months this way, because I know again I will be shifted to some other place. Okay, so this kind of tendency comes in the mind of the employees. They will not feel to work, they will feel dissatisfied or frustrated. Clear? So there should be stability of the employees in the organization. Okay? This will improve the efficiency also. There will be no wastage of the resources of the organization. Many advantages are there. Coming to the 13th principle, initiative. Initiative means taking the first step with motivation, right? So Fayol in this principle, he suggested that the employees of the organization, they should be given an opportunity to make some plans for the organization as well as execute it. Okay, that means indirectly the organization is welcoming the ideas of the employees, isn't it? They are welcoming the suggestions of the employees. At the same time, what is going in the mind of the employees? The employees will feel happy. They will feel satisfied that yes, my organization thinks me to be sufficient or capable enough to provide suggestions to them. So what they will do? They will also come prepared. They will also work hard. Okay. See what's written here. The workers should be encouraged to develop and carry out their plan for improvements. Initiative means taking the first step with self-motivation. It is thinking and executing the plan. That means in initiative what we do? We give them means we give chance to the employees to make their own plan, bring it to the organization, and if the organization likes it, that would be definitely executed. Clear? This will make the employees happy. It will make the employees satisfied, give them a feeling of belongingness. Okay. Then the last principle, it says aspirate de corps. Mind the spelling. This is not crops, neither it is corpse. Okay, you tend to write two different types of spelling. Some of you will write CROPS, crops, and some of you will write corpse, CORPSE. Both are wrong. Please avoid these spellings. See the spelling of corpse and then write it in your exam. I have seen many students making spelling mistakes over here. So please, you do not do it. Right? Now what is this principle saying? This principle suggested by Fayol, it says that there should be team spirit, there should be harmony, and there should be unity among the management. Okay? The manager should not think with the concept of I. Means the manager should not think from the viewpoint of himself. He should do his work taking we into consideration. We means we the people, everyone. He should avoid the concept of I and he should work with the concept of we. Right? Now understand one example. Suppose the production manager gave the task of producing 100 units to 10 people. 100 units to 10 people, right? Generally what will be the division? The division will be 10 units per person if we divide this. Okay, so 10 unit should be made by per person. Suppose 8 persons or take 9 persons. Suppose 9 persons do their jobs. That means how much units are prepared? 9 persons into 10, that is 90 units are prepared properly, and the portion of the 10th person is left. That means how much? 10 units are still left because the 10th person did not produce anything. Could be that he fell ill. So what should be done? According to this principle, I said now there should be team spirit, there should be harmony, there should be coordination among the employees. So what should be done? This 10 units should also be prepared by these 9 people. Understood? Because they have to fulfill the main target. And what is the main target? The main target is 100 units. Forget about individual divisions. Over here, they take the viewpoint of the group goal. How much was the group goal? 100 units. So they will prepare even the portion of the 10th person. Right? Now because of this principle, what will happen? There will be teamwork. There will be proper achievement of the group goals. Clear? So these were the 14 principles which we have discussed, 5 in the last class and the remaining over here. Now let's come to another most important part of this chapter, that is about Taylor. Taylor was called as the father of scientific management. Why was he called that? Why did he do? What did he do? Right, so let's see here. The full form you can name him as Frederick Winslow Taylor. Date of birth is given. I am reading it out. Was a person who was who within a very short duration rose from the ranks of an ordinary apprentice to the chief engineer in Midway Steel Company, USA. Taylor conducted a number of experiments and came to the conclusion that workers were producing much less than the selected standard target. Also, both the parties, that is the management and the workers, they are hostile. Hostile means fighting, always in a fighting mood towards each other. He gave a number of suggestions to solve this problem and correctly propounded the theory of scientific management to emphasize the use of scientific approach in managing the enterprise instead of the hit and trial methods. That means he formed certain his methods and told that why don't we use the scientific methods rather than practicing the old methods. Hit and trial method means the old methods which are generally followed. You keep on trying, whichever method hits you follow it. So rather than doing and wasting time every time, he told that we should start the use of scientific approach, and that is why he is called as the father of scientific management. What is scientific management aiming at? Scientific management aims to eliminate waste, maximum production at minimum cost. Okay. So you understood who was Taylor and how did he start developing with the scientific principles of management. So that was an introduction. Generally questions are not framed from here. It is just to give you an idea about the person who started with this scientific principles, right? So let's come into the principles that he actually formed. There are 4 principles. Okay, very simple. Let's do it. First one says science, not rule of thumb. Read once again. Science, not rule of thumb. Read properly. There's a comma here. Comma means we have to follow science and we should not follow the rule of thumb. Understood some meaning? Something is getting cleared about this principle, that we should follow science and we should not follow the rule of thumb. So according to this principle, Mr. Taylor said that every job of whatever type it is, they should be based on a scientific inquiry and a scientific approach. Okay, and not on intuitions and experiences and hit and trial method ki chalo let's try, whatever works will work. No, this should not be the approach. There should be a proper scientific approach for each of the work, right? There must be thinking before doing the job. Thinking, obviously, if we are following a scientific approach, then there has to be thinking, proper thinking, not that whatever goes on with the flow, we are doing the work, ki, arey, it's okay, we are trying, whatever comes in our mind, we do it. No. Rule of thumb means the dictatorship of the manager. Whatever the manager says, he is done, and that is followed. No, that should not be the case. What is the case? He says that there should be science, means there should be a scientific approach and not the rule of thumb. Rule of thumb means something based just on the hit and trial method, or something which is based on just normal experience or orders of the manager. What will the whatever the manager says, do this way, or whatever is as per the will or wish of the manager, that should not be done. Everything should be scientific, right? There should be scientific study and analysis of each element of the job. It should be there, and the old rule and thumb approach or hit and miss method should be replaced, right? We should be constantly experimenting to develop new techniques which makes the work simpler, easier and quicker. Okay, so over here he says that we should follow scientific methods or scientific approach which will make our work simpler, easier and quicker, rather than something which is based on the free wish or free desire of the manager. Management says do this, the organization will do this, manager says do that. It should not be a pure dictatorship. Okay. Now point number 2. Point number 2 says there should be harmony and there should not be discord. Discord means again fighting in the organization. It should not be there. In the organization there should be harmony, peace. Okay. And how can be there harmony and peace? If we respect each other's role. Now who are the each others? If the managers respect the workers' role and the workers respect the manager's role, and they eliminate any kind of conflict, then there will be harmony in the organization. Clear? According to the Taylor, both the groups should change their attitude to in respect of each other. Okay? Generally there is a tendency that the workers have a negative feeling towards the management also has a negative feeling towards the workers. So this should not be the case, right? Next one, point number 3. Point number 3 says cooperation and not individualism. Now this is something matching with the Fayol's principle that we have done. Cooperation and not individualism. Which was it? The last one. Remember, esprit de corps. Over there also what we learned? We learned that there should be teamwork and we should not do I and I and I. Okay, so here also more or less the same thing is being said, that there should be no individualism, there should be cooperation, right? See, according to this principle, the work should be carried out in cooperation with each other. Okay, constructive suggestions of the worker should be adopted in case the worker is wanting to say anything, that should be adopted. And they should not go on strike as both the workers and managers share responsibility and perform together. Clear? So cooperation and individualism means how can we gain cooperation? Just think, there should be proper behavior with the employees, their ideas should be welcomed, they can be rewarded for their suggestions, isn't it? At the same time, from the workers side, what it should be there, they should work properly, they should fulfill their targets, they should not put any undesirable demands. Okay, unnecessary they want a hike in their salary, no, that should not be done. Okay, and the last one says development of each and every person to his or her greatest efficiency and prosperity. Now just understand that the efficiency of the organization, actually it is dependent on the efficiency of the workers only, isn't it? If the workers do not work in an efficient way, do you think that all the targets would be achieved? If the targets are not achieved, then how will the organization earn profit? So if the organization is working in an efficient manner, definitely it is because of the efficiency of the workers, right? So how can we improve this efficiency of the employees? The efficiency of the employees can be improved through proper training. Okay, proper training should be given to each and every employee according to their job, according to their qualification, time to time. Okay, see what's written here. It implies development of competencies of all the persons of the organization. Development of competencies means we are talking here about training. So there should be training of all the persons, okay, which is suited to their temperament and abilities. Means according to their job profile, according to their ability, they should be given proper training and proper upgradation of their knowledge. Why? Because it is very important to develop our workers. Worker training is very essential, and because of this training only, if it's done properly, if the workers are efficient enough, then definitely the organization will also be efficient, right? So that was all about the principles of scientific management. 4 principles were given by Mr. Taylor. Taylor said in the first one, scientific approach should be there. No, nothing based on the dictatorship of the manager. Okay, scientific approaches should be there. Harmony, peace in the organization, no fighting. There should be cooperation, and we should not look only onto ourselves, no individualism. Group goals, teamwork should be there, and last one, there should be development of each and every person. So that is all for today. We'll meet you in the next video. Thank you.